planning for the long game. Yes, you guys, we just need to get better at planning for the long game, right? In general, I think people aren't very good at this. And there's very good reasons why. We are just not taught how to plan for the long game very well. And actually, before I go into all of that, I wanted to share a poem that I wrote. And I wrote it for the folks at Pencil organization, the mentors and the mentees, and who are like in the process of job searching, you know, and like it's hard. And this is like prime example of planning for the long game. We have to plan for the long game in order to be successful. I think it's even more appropriate right now because we're in the middle of COVID. Hey Shayna, good to see you. Glad you're here. And you know, I think the trouble that a lot of us are getting into is that like people haven't used the skills to plan for the long game. And now more than ever, we need them because clearly it's not a short game. So anyway, I want to read this poem / poetry / flowetry that I wrote. It's very short to give folks some hope and some inspiration for playing the long game as it relates to job search. Okay, so it's called To Thine Own Self Be True. I'm glad you're here. I understand it's a hard time, my dear, and it feels like the world is crashing in and all you want to do is win, win, win. But you are here and you showed up. And let me tell you, y'all, that is enough. Can't nobody or nothing hold you down. Not even when your head is spinning round. You know exactly who you are. You are a bright and beautiful shining star. So don't be afraid to live life out loud, even if you're more comfortable shining behind a cloud. I'm here to tell you to keep dreaming your dream, girl. Yes, I'm talking to you, Shayna. Because your dream job is closer than it seems. Today, we're going to talk about how to market your true self. For when you do that, you will find yourself in abundance and wealth. So grab your pencil and pay attention because I'm going to be dropping lots of knowledge in this marketing session. Okay, it's not a marketing session, but it's a session nonetheless of how to plan for the long game. And that actually is a huge foundation for marketing as well. Just saying. Okay. So yeah, I think, you know, part of this is being inspired in the long game. Like, look, you see what I'm wearing today, right? I was all like, I am about to dress like I'm in the Caribbean on vacation because that's how I want to feel today. So here I am. Okay. Planning for the long game. Okay. So why are we so bad at it? First of all, we live in a world of instant gratification. We live in a world of likes and comments. We live in a world of 24 hours after you post something, like it's no longer relevant, right? We're focused on quarterly results. We're focused on monthly forecasts. We're focused on weekly updates, all that good stuff. So it's no wonder that we don't know how to plan for the long game. And, you know, certainly I'm not saying I'm an expert at this. Like this time that we're in has definitely been very challenging for me. But, you know, I've recently been reflecting on why is it maybe not as hard for me as I would think? And I realize it's because I learned about the long game very early on in my life. You know, I've mentioned before, I think on this platform, right? I was born with cleft lip and palate. And so early on, I knew that I had to have a lot of different surgeries in my life and that they were going to span many, many years. It wasn't going to be, oh, you know, you're 7 years old and you're done. No, like actually my last surgery, I was 21 years old. So I think that really prepared me to know that like, I'm not going to be able to get the instant gratification that I want from these surgeries, right? And I realized that I had to be looking for something else something deeper, something else that would keep me going, because this was going to be a long game. And actually, when I was 21 and I had my last surgery, I was sitting on the operating table. And for any of you who've been through this, you know that that's like, before the drugs kick in, your mind is just like, why am I here? What am I doing? I don't want to do this. Like, you get scared, all this stuff, right? I'm sitting on there. And I'm like, this is my last surgery. Like, I literally had one more to do after the one that I was there for. And I was like, I'm done. I am done with this, this process. And, I think what I realized was that last surgery wasn't going to actually make me happy, right? I think my whole life I was like, if I just have these surgeries, if I just do these things, like, then I'll be happy, then I'll find the man, then my life will get like infinitely better. And I sat on the table and I was like, I am so done with this. This isn't going to be the thing. And I say all this to say that, I'm sitting here wondering, again, as today's topic is like the long game, that, okay, like, what if everything were back to normal, like tomorrow, right? Like, am I ready for how I want to live with things being back to normal? Like, have I learned my lesson? Have I figured some more things out? And the more I think about it, I'm like, oh, you know what? I maybe haven't figured everything out yet. In terms of how do I really want to take advantage of when things do go back to normal? And what are the behaviors that I want to keep? And what are the behaviors that I don't want to keep, And to me, that's planning for the long game. That's planning for what is it I really want, and doing the deeper work of really understanding yourself and your needs and what it is you're going after, and how you can do that, and the many different ways that you can do that. I think when we constantly are like the short-term hit, the instant gratification, the what now, the what next, like we're not setting ourselves up for, this journey is actually a very long journey. Our lives are long journeys, our goals, they don't happen overnight. So we have to do those things that set us up for success, that help us to feel wins and accomplishments along the way. So I want to celebrate today. That, I had a rough start to the week, but I held on, and here I am, and it's Friday, and I made it. I'm actually in a great mood, and I'm feeling really positive. And so what can you celebrate today to honor that it's a long game, to honor that the pot at the end of the rainbow is still out there and you're going for it, but you're not quite there yet, but you sure as hell did a lot of stuff along the way that you should celebrate. So I'm looking at my notes because I really kind of thought about this one before. And I think certainly like the institution of school, right, doesn't necessarily teach you the long game either. It's like you're looking at grade to grade to grade, and not like, hey, when you're done with this math class, this is what it's going to feel like and look like, and these little things along the way are to help you get to that milestone of the journey. And I think that's what I'm saying, which is like, we have to focus on the journey and not every single, milestone and every single check mark, because it really is about how are you feeling, how are you living on the journey, and not just living in the moments of the big moments of like celebration. Because let's be honest, those big moments they don't happen every day. Like if you get a few big moments a year, like you are like rocking it, like that's unusual. And I think as I was reflecting on, you know, my journey too of like understanding the long game and how do I win at that. When I was 22, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And you want to talk about the long game? Woo! That required me to really think differently about my life. Think about it, right? Every day, I have to make decisions related to the long game. Everything that I eat, everything that I choose to do or not do, my exercise routine, whatever all that stuff is, I don't see it today. I don't see that choice that I make today means that I feel great today. It might mean that in 30 years from now, I am doing much better than I would otherwise. And that's something that like, it's very hard to conceptualize, it's very hard to understand, but that's how I also am learning to play the long game. And I think that's something that we can all learn more about to set ourselves up for success for not just today, but also for tomorrow. So I put a few ideas together. How do you play the long game? Number one, and I talked about this, focus on the journey and not the destination. Focus on the everyday. What's going to bring you joy? How are you going to get through that day, right? Sometimes it's really about like chunking it down, right? Like chunking things down into like the moment, the day, the hour, to be able to be in that moment, because that's what the long game is all about. It's not about focusing on, oh my God, how long is this gonna last? And how long do I gotta wear a mask? And how long do I have to be afraid to like walk on my door? It's like, no, what do I need today? What is gonna bring me joy today? And that will really help keep you centered and grounded and get through longer periods of pain or discomfort. I think that it's also about getting the support that you need before things get cray-cray. And hi, Shigay, I'm so glad you're here. So I think we often wait until we are like over the freaking edge to make a phone call and to get support. And that is not a strategy for the long game, because if you wait until the bread is moldy, I don't know why I'm thinking about that, before you decide to eat it, it's too late. You can't eat it, So what I'm saying is, get what you need before it's like, disaster zone. Actually, I had somebody reach out to me, bless her heart. And she was like, hey, she wanted me to, help her with this opportunity that she saw on LinkedIn that was actually happened weeks and weeks ago. And she reached out to me and said, oh, like, do you know anybody there? And might you be able to introduce me? And I was like, sure, let me see what I can do. And I reached out, and anyway, it was, they were in their last rounds of like interviews. And that's like, yeah, like, don't wait to get the support. Like, do it when you're like sensing you need some help getting in the door, or you need some help getting through the day, or you need some help getting through your week. Because sometimes it can be too late to get, to pull you out. Or you're going to go into a deeper downward spiral, and then that's harder to get out of. It's like if you're in the 10th rung of the spiral, it's a lot harder. It takes a lot more energy to get back up, right? Versus if you're on that second rung and you sense that like you're really struggling, like imagine how much easier it is to like get back to where you want to be. So, and taking breaks, right? Taking breaks before you're burnt out. Because when you're burnt out, It's the same idea of the spiral, right? When you're burnt out, how much longer does it take to restore yourself and fill your cup and get your cup to fill over? And look, I certainly know that, in my career and in my life, like I would often wait until it was like, I am on the freaking, brink of destruction before I take a vacation day, or take a vacation. And then I realized, maybe I would like use all my vacation days, for like one big vacation or maybe two big vacations. And then I realized, oh my God, what I actually need to play the long game is to take a day off here and there, or to take a few long weekends here and there to help me get to that vacation without being a totally burnt out before that happens. And look, give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to have fun, in the long game. When you're having a day and like it's really hard and really frustrating, and maybe your job search is like just feeling really, really crappy, or maybe like the coronavirus stuff is getting to you, or maybe like the weight of protests and Black Lives Matter is really, really weighing on you. Like, give yourself a permission to take a break. To say, you know what, I'm going to turn off social media, or you know what, I'm going to take a nap, or I'm going to watch my favorite show, or whatever it is. Speaking of favorite shows, I just finished the last season of Pose. I freaking love that show. It's the best. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's on Netflix, but it's originally an FX show. Anyway, okay, so we talked about taking breaks. Not being so hard on yourself. This is part of the long game, right? That if we are beating ourselves up for what we're not doing, or what we haven't accomplished, or what we think we should have done, or who we think we should be by now, or what we think we should have gotten over or healed or whatever, that constant beating ourselves up isn't helping us in the long game. Absolutely not. And I'm not saying that, like, look, those patterns of being kinder to yourself, of being your own best friend, those are hard to break. And I'm bringing it up to say, like, if you want to live your life and win in the long term and feel good on the long journey, then we have to be kinder to ourselves more often, so that we don't weigh ourselves down with all the nonsense. And celebrate every win. Look, I think you guys maybe know by now, I believe in celebrations, because that's what gets you through, and not waiting till the big celebrations, which I talked about earlier, right? It's about celebrating. Oh my gosh, I got through this day. Oh my gosh, I got a new client, or I got 3 new prospective clients, or I finished this project at work and I feel really good about it, or I sent that really hard email. I got it done, period. I'm celebrating. I just finished it. You know what? And finishing is enough. It doesn't have to be this like, I proved everybody wrong, or I got a pat on the back from my boss, how can you give yourself the credit and celebrate without needing any external input on whether it's appropriate or not to celebrate? Certainly that, look, we talked about, I think last week it was about validation and like wanting others to like give us a pat on the back. But let me tell you, playing the long game is about being able to do that for yourself. Okay, what else? I talked about looking at things in small bites, right? Like that, right? It's about, anchoring in your journey, anchoring in the bigger picture of what you want for yourself. Can help keep you grounded and centered. And also, to get ourselves out of overwhelm of all of that, sometimes we need to think really, really like minute. And we need to say, okay, what is it? What is the one thing that I need to focus on today? Like, what is the one thing I need to get done? Or what is the first step that's going to help me get to that like vision that I have for myself, right? And really, really chunk it down and like let go of everything else. That's what, to me, my experience, overwhelm happens when things are snowballing. Your to-do lists are like snowballing and you just feel like, oh my God, like I'm never gonna get it done. So you have to like really go, sometimes it's step by step and minute by minute. Like I remember, I had a friend and she had a really big tragedy happen in her life. And I'm on the phone immediately following her finding out about that tragedy. And, and she's just like, I don't know how I'm going to make it through. Like, I don't know how I'm going to survive this, and I just said to her, like, minute by minute, that's how you're going to take it, right? Small. Don't think about how you're going to get through this. Think about how you're going to get through this minute and the next minute and the next minute. And taking deep breaths and all that good stuff, Hey Janelle, it's really good to see you here. Thanks for joining. Getting through the long game also is about relieving the stress that you may feel as things build up. And what that might look like for you could be different. Maybe it's meditation, maybe it's breathing exercises, maybe it's yoga, maybe it's going for a run, maybe it's going to the gym. Okay, it might not be going to the gym right now, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, you can do some planks in your office if you need. But just really being able to release the energy, release the stress, release whatever's going on in your body, because your body stores so much information. I mean, this is a whole nother talk, right, about like the body. But playing the long game really is about honoring what your body needs and how to release. Maybe it's massages, who knows? There's all kinds of techniques for, being in touch with your body, releasing energy. Dancing, such a good way of releasing stress and getting yourself into a positive place, a positive mindset. And also, trying new things. The long game, right? I mean, look, I think we are all kind of trying a lot of new things right now with COVID and figuring out how else to keep ourselves entertained. How do we stay connected, And this is just like a microcosm of, how I really encourage my clients when they're stuck, right? And I'm working with them. It's like, all right, how do we get unstuck? We try different things. We do different things. And usually when they come to me, they're ready for that because they're like, clearly whatever they've been doing hasn't been working to helping them get unstuck. So the long game, and when you're feeling stuck, is about what else can you try or do to move along, to move the energy, to move into a different headspace, and a lot of times that involves exploring different modes of creativity, right? Like, so maybe you're typically a writer. Maybe you need to try painting, or maybe you have to sing it out or dance it out or whatever. So playing the long game is also experimenting with new things when your current process or MO is not quite working for you. And I think that, look, we still have a lot of institutions and structures in place that that encourage us to play in the short term. And I think that when I get really feisty about this topic, not only for like personal health, but also for company health, it's like, look, we have to stop having these short-term conversations and start investing in what it means to win long-term. And those are kinds of things like investing in culture, and those are things investing in mental health, and investing in more vacation time and more sick days and things like that make winning sustainable, that make effort sustainable, and now is the time to have conversations about challenging the status quo of how are we looking at things, and this whole, look, I know stakeholders and quarterly reports, and this is what people are looking for. This is how businesses are run, but it's never going to change if we don't say, like, stop. If we want to be in business 20 years from now, we have to think about the long term, and what are the practices and habits and behaviors that we need to start now to really win in the long term. So yeah, I mean, that's what I got today. Look, I haven't even been drinking my coffee. I've been talking so much. Yeah, hazelnut coffee, by the way. It's the best. I blame my Italian heritage on my love of hazelnut. But anyway, so, all right. So again, today, what we're going to take away is playing the long game is using some different skill sets than maybe you currently do. And whether you're in a job that you want to get out of, whether you're looking for a job, whether you're fed up with coronavirus, whether you're going through a health issue, anything like that, I hope you will take a few of these tips to heart about how can we really play the long game so that moment to moment we can realize that we are winning, we're surviving, and we're thriving, and we're doing the absolute best that we can. So thanks so much for tuning in. As always, my name is Tosca Di Matteo. You can learn more about me at CoachTosca.com. I hope you have an awesome weekend and let it be as long as you possibly can. All right, take care. Bye.